Hey ladies and gents, it's Zambak, and we are doing the ISU-122S. It is this used to be part of the Berlin deal they had back in the day where you got the Cromwell IS and of course this one. So what is the ISU-122S? So in 1943, the Russians developed the ISU-152, which for most parts was known as the Beast or the Beast Killer, because it mated a IS-2 chassis with a 152 millimeter gun. Not a real. It was built essentially because the Russians could not produce a gun that had the velocity enough to go through German armor. So instead, just like any good Russian, we're just going to beat the problem. And what I mean by beat, we're just going to use the biggest fucking shell we can find, and that's going to simply overmatch the armor of the German tanks. So the ISU-152 went into production in 1943, and they come to find out that they could produce ISU hulls faster than they could produce the 152 millimeter gun. So the Russians had a large stock of 122 millimeter cannons laying around. And they decided, well, since we have this stock of 122s and we have hulls that are sitting here waiting for guns, let's just mate the two of them together. And that's what they did. This is essentially how we ended up with the 122S. Not enough guns, so they just used what they had on hand. So they mated these two together. Now, by doing this, they actually developed a pretty decent tank destroyer. The ISU-152 was more of an assault gun, but with the 122 mounted on the ISU chassis, or actually the IS-2 chassis, they developed a tank destroyer that almost had the ability to penetrate a Tiger II. It could penetrate over 4 inches of armor, which was easily outmatched the Tiger I. It had much better penetration than the 152 millimeter gun. So the 122, which of course is the gun that you find on the IS tank, but this is the 122S. So the D25 is actually the D25S. This gun was what they used on the IS-2 tank. So that's the general start of why this tank ended up being what it is. It was used. It's kind of got a weird story to it. It wasn't as effective as the ISU-152 in the direct fire role. Wasn't as effective as in urban combat because of the shell it carried. The ISU-152 shell was almost twice as big weight-wise as the 122 millimeter. I'm talking about the high explosive rounds, but the ISU-122 had a much better armor-piercing round. So it was kind of a mix and match with the divisions. Sometimes they tried not to mix them, but with a lot of times ISU-122Ss would end up with the ISU-152s. At the end of World War II, it's kind of weird. So apparently it started production in 44, ended in 45, and then restarted again in 1947. Nobody knows why. Roughly, and that also comes with the numbers. Anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 of these things were produced. Once again, probably production started again in 1947 because of a large surplus of guns, and you can't have guns laying around, so we have to put a chassis on them. So yeah, that's kind of what they were thinking, and it was apparently produced from 1947 again till 1952. There's still a question mark on that. Nobody really knows how long this thing was put in production. However, by 1952, it was already way obsolete, and it wasn't really, something that they wanted to use. The ISU-152 was used all the way up into the 70s. This, however, did not last that long. So by the early 50s, mid 50s, they were already phasing this thing out pretty fast. They removed the gun on it, and it turned a lot of these into recovery vehicles. Some of them were turned over to civilian use. They were used in the railroad. I'm not terribly sure what they were using the railroad. I'm assuming moving cars around and that kind of thing. So yeah, it had a kind of a storied history, I guess. The Chinese, as far as we know, they never got a hold of this machine. Yeah, so there you go. That's essentially the history of this tank. What do we get in game? Well, this is kind of the interesting part about this tank. The one it has. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. This thing is ridiculously good at what it does. If you can find a bush to snipe in, it does a pretty nice job. However, I'm going to put a comparison between this one and the other one that we all know so well, the ISU-122-44. This is probably, for the longest time, was considered one of the best Tier 7 TDs. The ISU-122 came out, of course, after the ISU-122-44, but it has a better gun than the ISU-122, and I'm actually going to bring up the comparison for you to kind of get an idea what I'm talking about here. This is the ISU-122S, this is the ISU-122-4, and then of course the ISU-152. This tank is not, the ISU-152 is not similar to the IS in the fact that it has a different kind of chassis. This is the KV-1S chassis. This is of course the IS-2 chassis, and that's the big difference. However, they do have the same gun. When you get the ISU-152 without the derp gun, you can get it. You can get the 122 millimeter on it. So, which is interesting because, like I said, the ISU-122 was always the kind of the go-to. Everybody's like, this is so ridiculously OP. However, like I said, when you look at the reload time, ISU-122 beats it rather handily. 6.6 to 6.1. Of course, the SU gets the same gun as the ISU-122, so they have the same rate of fire, as well as the average damage and penetration and all that fine stuff. It also has better gun depression than the ISU-122-44. That's the 2 degrees makes a big difference in this tank, and you'll see what I'm talking about in the game. Aim time's the same, dispersion's the same, and this is where the really big difference is. These numbers are ridiculous. 3,831 damage per minute. That's insane. That's probably in the top 5, easily in the top 5, most DPM wise. Somebody's gonna probably correct me on that, but yeah, it's pretty damn good. Survivability, 870 hull armor, and whatnot. So we're gonna bring up, and the only real big difference between the ISU-122 and the ISU-122S, of course, is also the concealment. The ISU-122 is a little sneakier. And of course, with the view range, 456. So it's got a little bit better view range than the other two at Tier 7. So let's look at the tank for what it is. 390 average damage, that's a lot. 175 average pen, not too shabby. 9.61 rate of fire, 6.24 second reload time. Of course, I don't have this all the way up to upgraded to a 100% crew and BIA. The numbers you saw in there were 6.11. That's what you get with 100% with the BIA, with a gun rammer and Vance. 2.72 second aim time, kind of, 0.38 dispersion. Once again, this gun will troll the shit out of you. You'll know watching the video what I'm talking about. 870 hit points, 90 on the front, 90 on the side, and 16 the rear. This, if you do turn a little bit with it, and they hit anything on this part of the gun mallet, you're going to bounce. Kind of surprising how easy it is to bounce shots with this tank. 54 tons, fully loaded. Not near as mobile, of course, as the ISU-122-44. This thing is super fun to move around the battlefield. This plays far more like a typical TD. It does not move around real fast. It does. I mean, it's not slow by no means, but it's nothing compared to the ISU-122 for mobility. 19.05 for concealment. Still not as good as the ISU-122-44, but not too shabby. You can definitely make that work. I usually run binocs on it. Of course, you can use concealment, coated or whatever. Whatever you want to use here, obviously. I usually always put fence and rammers on every tank. The third option is entirely up to you. 447 on the view range with the binocs. So yeah, it can get out there and spot some things. So I'm going to bring up the gameplay for you and kind of give you an idea what this thing can do. This is one of, and I haven't played this. I bought it, played it a few times, and just didn't have really got back to it. And then I started playing again here the other night. I think I played 4 games one night, and then I played 4 games last night in it. yeah, just to kind of get a reminder of what exactly this tank is all about. And then it does, if you're at range, and if you got things to shoot at, this thing can rack up some serious damage relatively quick. So I'm going to bring up the gameplay for you guys, so you guys can check this thing out. Alright guys, back with the first game in the ISU-122S. It's Elaluf, one of my favorite, yeah, I wouldn't say my favorite map, but I do like this map, especially in a TD. I'm going to move on over here to the first part of the journey I usually play in my TDs on this map. These are not really, this is not really the best, like I said, for assaulting. Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be an assault tank, right? However, it does work pretty well for what I usually do right off the bat when I play this tank here. So I got my T29, and I was actually thinking about typing something, but I decided not to, just because I'm that way. The SU apparently doesn't figure this map out, is you don't go up there because you're going to get fucking spotted, but he does anyway. So I'll pull back down here. I'm just going to wait here. Always fire into that bush, because sometimes you get lucky and nail something that's not paying attention. So their ISU-152 gets picked up. Unfortunately, I have no shots on him. And the way the SU-100 got wrecked, I know there's at least one tank, most likely down there in that little village here in the center. So I'm not going to go over the edge to get spotted here. However, I'm going to wait and see if the Tiger 1 decides to poke his dumb ass out. He has the same problems that our T29 has. He wants to play the sniper and the heavy roll. So pull back over here, see if I can give the Bat Chat 12T some help, but that's not going to happen. And that's about the time, and this is that situational awareness, that I see that we have one tank, one poor little P43 BIS working here with the Cromwell. So wait for the aim, long aim time. I should have just fired that and hoped that by Stalin's grace it would have hit him. Probably would have, but I didn't. So I got the P43 BIS, and Smoky Treat is not in a good position here with all these tanks. There's a Jackson, there's a Cromwell, there's a T20, and my first shot, pick up his track right off the bat. I don't know why. So I'm going to aim right down the center, and that fucking completely misses the tank that's currently tracked there. However, I picked him up again, and that one goes fucking underneath. I told you, this thing is notorious for trolling you. I don't know why. It does it on a regular basis. Pick up the Cromwell. That time I finally got him in the track. Put him down to 148 hit points. And we're just going to execute him. And then we're going to work our way over here to the T20. There's another Cromwell B. This T20, I don't know if he just missed the fact that he was, his little buddy got annihilated. But he's not really paying attention here. So we're just going to, fuck you, finish you off. So P43 BIS is now alive. Come around the corner here and see if I can pick up the Cromwell. I thought maybe he was crazy enough to drop off the edge, but he doesn't. So the AMX 65 tons over there against an IS-6 and a KV-2 and a Jackson. We have the P43 BIS here on a T-34-85. So I'm going to try to keep these guys alive. The T-29 finally comes out of his stupor and decides that he's going to go deal, hopefully help the other players, but he doesn't really be paying too much attention here. So we'll pick up the Cromwell coming in. Come on. There we go. Put a shell into the Cromwell. Got the T20. I'm well out of their view range here, so we're just going to dink one right into the ground just to let them know that I'm here. I don't know if he can figure out by the number of dead tanks sitting here. So IS-6 is pushing the AMX 65 ton. The T-29 is finally starting to move down there, maybe to give him a little bit of assistance. And they're working on the IS-6 here. The Jackson comes around the corner, and we have a T-20 and a KV-2 yet. Looking pretty decent here. So 65-ton backs up here, and I'm hoping that somebody's going to come around the corner. GW Panther finishes him off. That leaves us here with the T-34-85 and the BIS watching. Jackson comes around, pick up the IS-6. Ooh, P-43 BIS nails him. Jackson is kind of stuck there. Ooh, there we go. Pick up the T-20, and let's see what he does here. Come on, 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 come on. Come on. Ooh, there we go. I thought maybe he was going to go rack around and try to get around behind him, but he doesn't. Pick up the other Jackson coming through here. There we go. Come on, come on. Oh, finish him off. Puts me up about 2282. It's still an 8-7 tie right now. And KV2, no problem. Oh, fuck. Even with Stalin guiding my shot, he will not help me against one of his own. KV2 gets lucky again. I nail it. Should have been right in his side. Apparently, I bounced off the KV2 again because he's still alive. Let's see if we can finally get one in there. Yes, there we go. Some days this gun just fucking eats you alive. It rips your soul right out of your chest. And the next day just does wonders. M12 finishes off the ISU-100, so it's a 10-9 game right now. And yeah. So I gotta go help the T-29 out because fuck if knows if he's going to live through this. He's got a pretty nice turret, you know, to use against the Jackson if he plays it right. But considering where he was most of the game, I can't leave that to chance. So I'm going to move up in here and see if I can help the poor T-29 out. He's getting pummeled by the artillery because he backed out of there. Not terribly sure why. So pull in here, and I'm wait for my binocs to come up here, and I'm just going to sit and wait. The T-29 can't completely die by himself. Oh, there we are. Pick up the Jackson, finishes him off. That leaves a Tiger 1 and 3 artillery pieces left. I'm going to go help the T-29 because I'm not terribly sure exactly how much health that Tiger 1 has. Artillery makes a blind shot at me, doesn't even stun me. Yeah, good times. Oh, Tiger 1's got 340 hit points. This should be interesting, which is well within the T-29's ability to kill him in one shot. But I'm going to move up here and help. So 314, he rolls a little low. Tiger 1's still hanging on. We're going to see if we can end this here quickly. Pull back around, and the GW finishes him off. However, I do pick up the M44 artillery. He's running away, and pull around, put the first shell into him. Puts me up just a little bit over 3,000 damage, and a top gun. So I got 2 artillery pieces that I'm not going to be able to get to. The Udes looks like he's on his way to finish him off. The M12 apparently decided to derp one of our mediums in the face, and yeah. So not a bad game in the old ISU. This, like I said, with the with its reload and stuff, you can put up some pretty nice numbers with this tank. So I got one more game for you guys to watch here in the ISU. Give you a little bit of idea about this tank. All right, back with the second game in the ISU-122. Actually, I had this game before the other game, and I had camo net on it instead of binocs. So I was playing a little bit more of the support role. I oftentimes switch out equipment. It's just what I do. I don't know why. If something's not working for me, I usually try to switch it out and see if I can make it work a little better. So I don't have the view range I did with the binocs. Pull up in here. We got a TVP, an M4190F. A bunch of the mediums are coming here. I'm not sure what that light tank is doing. Tier 8 light tank. He's going to sit in the bush. The better bush right now is if you can get over to the around the E34 area. There's a bush there that does a pretty nice job of spotting. Pull up in here and see if I can pick up the Cromwell's going full balls to the walls over here underneath the ridge here. However, I'm not in the best position here because I got Mr. Panther M10 who's currently being kind of a pain in the ass. So back out of here, see what we can find over here. Find the AMX-12T. He's interested in trying to fuck up the T-3485. However, I don't get a real good shot on him, so I'm not going to waste the shell. They finish him off. T-3485 is dead. They have nobody pushing the 9-0, which is kind of odd. So that immediately kind of like just little red flags off of my head about what I wanted to deal with here. So pick up the ISU, put a shell into him, and we have a Type 59 and HG number 6 spotted over here. So I'm looking for the IS shell, and can't quite pick him up. Looking. Hopefully he was going to back out from behind the rock and put another shell into him, but he didn't oblige me. AMX-50 and the IS-2, KV-2, OIs finally starting to move around the other side. And they've given up 3/4 of the map control. and that means that we've heavily outnumbered here. So I'm going to start moving to the back side of the map here because I did not want to get pushed. However, about halfway across here, and I realized, you know what, by now we should have saw some tanks over here by the Cromwell, and they don't seem to be terribly interested in that. So I'm going to pull back around here and go back and see if I can help out this centerpiece. They have a P-43 BIS and an IS. I'm going to pull back around this side of the hill. That way I don't have to deal with everything along this line here. Pull up in here, and this is what the 2 degrees of gun depression helps out a little bit compared to the ISU-122. Pick up the KV-2, put a shell into him, finish him off, and we're going to start looking for some shots. However, I don't have... Ooh, there we go, P-43 BIS. Oh, he's going to sit there long enough for me to hit him with a 434. This gun is so nice when it does hit. Big damage rolls, a lot of times over 400, which is not too shabby for a Tier 7. So we're going to pull back around. The Tiger II has been spotted like a typical Watt player, sitting on top of the hill in a heavy tank to snipe. Yay. So we're going to pull back around and see if we can help this IS-2 that's pushing in. T-3485M is over here on the far side, and I'm going to pull up here. The Type 59 still kind of worries me. He can make some moves, make some plays, and definitely change the game here. So I'm going to move up in here till I get a little bit better spot on the Type 59. The Churchill 1 is getting wrecked by the T-25-2, and we're going to pull up in here and just see if we can maybe sneak one through here, the opening. I'm not seeing anything on the T-25-2 or the Type 59, so I'm going to pull up a little closer and see what we can find. Come on, where are you at, buddy? Yeah, there we go. Find the Type 59 lower plate, and one right into his track. Not anywhere close to where I fucking aimed, but what are you going to do? Shit. So, nothing there. I got the P-43 BIS. He's coming in here. He's going to wreck the M41. And now is currently coming around to my side here. So I got to do something about this. We're just going to auto-aim him. There we go. Wait for him to see what he does. But, oh, there's an OI. Go figure. Tiger II is doing a hell of a job up here on the top. I'm not terribly sure what he's up to. But we're going to put a shell into him for 427 and knock his track off. Down the hill we go. Mobility-wise, still not the best compared to the ISU-122, and of course with the camouflage, still not as good as the ISU-122-44, but I really like the quicker reload, and it seems like it has better gun handling than the ISU-122-44. So pull up on here. The Tiger 1, he's not really paying much attention. Made in China, yeah, I could see that, I guess. So even if I'm not going to get any damage from him, I can at least probably keep him somewhat proxy spotted here for artillery. The FV, the little shit artillery player, nails me. Get 92. There we go. 170 for the spotting. They finish him off with that. Can't quite get down on the 150 in time before he backs out. However, I have the OI here in front of me. AMX 5100 pulls in there. Oh, he's taking a lot of damage. And this probably would have ended badly for him if that OI hadn't hit the T150 for him. I don't know if he would have finished him off. And like I said, he kind of put himself in a little bit of a bad position there. So up we go. I got the OI and the KV-2 back over here. Not terribly sure what they're up to. The M12 shoots the Hummel. Okay. Not terribly sure if he was waiting for him to be spotted or what. So pull back up on top of the hill, and I'm going to get into some cover here. This is what Russian TDs do. Looking for the P-43 and the T-25-2. There's 3 artillery pieces yet to be seen. Yeah, I'm just going to wait here and see if they pull back out again. Pull back a little bit here. Oh, pick up the FV-304 running. Oh, missed him. How did I miss him? So I'm not going to waste a shell trying to get him a second time. He's already up in the castle. However, I can peel this one off, nail him with a a fucking halfway zoomed in circle, pick up the M12, finish him off. Puts me at about 2284. So we have the T-25-2 and of course the FV-304 left. So on the move, Like I said, not the best mobility compared to the ISU-122-44, but it's definitely good enough. It does move around the battlefield pretty decently. So we got the OI coming across the bridge. We got the T-25-2, and of course the AMX-5100 that is also pushing across the bridge. T-25-2s can be somewhat dangerous. He kind of played it out in that center a little bit here. So we're going to move up. OI finishes off FV-304. That leaves me with the one more shot, hopefully, on the T-25-2, and see if we can finish him off here. Pick him up, zoom in on him, zamed him. Yeah. So I ended up with a nice 26-14, 4 kills. This tank can really put out the damage if you get a chance, and you can use that nice, real quick reload. So I hope you guys enjoyed the tank. I'll give this tank an easy one thumbs up. You know, it's a very good TD at tier 7. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you later.